Good morning, distinguished representatives of the media. Today, I am launching my high-level multi-stakeholder advisory body on artificial intelligence. The last year has seen an extraordinary advance in the capabilities and use of artificial intelligence through chatbots, voice cloning, image generations, video apps, and more. Thanks to one such app, I had the surreal experience of watching myself delivering a speech in flawless Chinese, despite the fact that I do not speak Chinese. And the lips movement corresponded exactly to what I was saying. And this is just one example of the incredible possibilities and the potential dangers of AI. In our challenging times, AI could power extraordinary progress for humanity, from predicting and addressing crises to rolling out public health services and education services. AI could scale up and amplify the work of governments, civil society, and the United Nations across the board. For developing economies, AI offers the possibility of leapfrogging outdated technologies and bringing services directly to people where needs are bigger and for the people that need them most. The transformative potential of AI for good is difficult even to grasp. And we are in urgent need of this enabler and accelerator, as many countries are already reeling from the impact of the climate crisis. The 2030 Agenda, our global blueprint for peace and prosperity on a healthy planet, is in deep trouble, and AI could help to turn that around. It could supercharge climate action and efforts to achieve the 17 Sustainable Development Goals by 2030. But all this depends on AI technologies being harnessed responsibly and made accessible to all, including the developing countries that need them most. As things stand, AI expertise is concentrated in a handful of companies and countries. And this could deepen global inequalities and turn digital divides into chasms. The potential harms of AI extend to serious concerns over misinformation and disinformation, the entrenching of bias and discrimination, surveillance and invasion of privacy, fraud and other violations of human rights. And without entering into a host of doomsday scenarios, it is already clear that the malicious use of AI could undermine trust in institutions, weaken social cohesion, and threaten democracy itself. For all these reasons, I have called for a global, multidisciplinary, multi-stakeholder conversation on the governance of AI so that its benefits to humanity, all of humanity, are maximized and the risks contained are diminished. This advisory body is the starting point. And this group will work independently, guided by some basic principles. The advisory body efforts will be inclusive and based on the universal values enshrined in the United Nations Charter. It will consider how we can link various AI governance initiatives that are already underway, and it will work fast because we are against the clock. It will make preliminary recommendations in 3 areas by the end of this year: the international governance of artificial intelligence, a shared understanding of risks and challenges, and key opportunities and enablers to leverage AI to accelerate the delivery of the SDGs. The advisory body's recommendations will feed into preparations for the Summit of the Future next September, and specifically into negotiations around the proposed Global Digital Compact. The body will consult with my scientific advisory board, particularly how we can harness the benefits of AI to accelerate advances for the good of all. And the high-level advisory body is gender-balanced, geographically diverse, and spans generations. Members have deep experience across government, businesses, the technology community, civil society, and academia. They bring a broad range of perspectives to the task. And I am grateful and delighted that this outstanding group have agreed to put their knowledge and expertise at the service of the United Nations. They will serve in their personal capacity, and I ask them to consult widely, extensively, and transparently to hear the views of all stakeholders. I thank the members in advance for their commitment and contribution to make AI work for all of humanity, and I thank you. my colleagues will be able to give all the clarifications that you might require. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Let me do a big reveal here. Right. Not a big reveal, but we are delighted to be joined here in the room by Amandeep Gill, who, as you know, is the Secretary General's Envoy on Technology, and next to him is the Assistant Secretary General for Human Rights, Ilse Brans-Keris. Online, which hopefully we will see shortly, is Doreen Bognan-Martin, the Secretary General of the International Telecommunications Union. Also, Professor Chistidi Marwala, the Rector of UN University, and Gabriela Ramos, Assistant Secretary General at UNESCO. So, Amandeep, you go ahead, please, and then we'll hear from Doreen, and we'll take some questions.
Thank you, Stefan. And you've heard the Secretary General's announcement. So we are delighted that this effort is getting underway today with this incredibly diverse and talented group of experts, multidisciplinary experts from around the globe. This effort is a one UN effort, so I'm delighted that we are together here with you today, with Doreen from the ITU, from the UNU, Professor Marwala, our colleague Maria Gracia from UNESCO. Gabriela has a doctor's appointment. She couldn't be here with us today. And of course, Ilse from the Office of the High Commissioner on Human Rights. As the Secretary General announced, the timelines are very tight. We have intense work ahead of us, and he's given us guidance in terms of the principles we should follow and the three urgent priority tasks that are before us: the issue of opportunities and enablers, what AI can do for the Sustainable Development Goals, and more importantly, how we can harness that opportunity. The important issues around risks and challenges, not only the now risks, but the medium-term and the long-term risks, a comprehensive, balanced, science-based assessment of those risks and challenges. And then finally, what is needed to orchestrate the different governance efforts being undertaken today around the world. The UN has a unique role to play. It has decades of experience in the management of challenges around emerging technologies. It brings together several existing efforts in the field of AI, the UNESCO's recommendations on the ethics of AI, the ITU's significant work on harnessing AI for good, and many, many more. And we'll build on that foundation and on the credibility and convening power of the UN to deliver a unique global public good for the governance of AI for all humanity, as the SG put it. So perhaps, Stefan, I go back to you.
Yes,
and
then I think we want to hear from Doreen Bognan-Martin, the Secretary General of the ITU. Doreen, please, you have the floor.
Thank you, Stefan. Good evening from Geneva. Good evening, Amandeep. I hope you can all hear me.
Yes, perfectly.
Wonderful to with all of you, and nice to see our members of the press. We are very pleased to be part of this effort. We're excited about the launch of the YAHshaYAH, and of course I want to congratulate the newly appointed members. You have a big task ahead of you, and we're here to support you. As the Secretary General mentioned, the potential and the opportunities are tremendous. The potential to leapfrog, the potential, as he said, to supercharge. I think that's where we all want to go. The ITU has been engaged in this space for a number of years. As many of you know, we are the specialized agency of the UN that's focused on digital technologies. We started our AI for Good Summit back in 2017, focused, as Amandeep said, on the good parts of AI to achieve the SDGs. We also have quite a lot of work that we do in the space of standards, in policy making and also in capacity development, which is a really important feature as well. We also work closely. Amandeep mentioned this is a kind of one UN effort. We work with our partners in UNESCO. We have an interagency working group that has some 40 UN members that are part of it. We've documented about 300 use cases within the UN. I think this is important because some don't realize that we're doing so much already from work in WFP that looks at forecasting food crises to things like the work that FAO, is doing, monitoring water productivity, to our work with WMO, UNDRR on disaster risk reduction, and also ITU's work with UNICEF, where we're using AI to actually map school connectivity. And so we look forward to taking that body of work, which I think is an important body of work, and contributing that to the H Lab and supporting them. I hope, Amandeep, that we will host them next year at the AI for Good Summit, which is scheduled for the 30th to the 31st of May. We will have a special governance day on the 29th, so save the date, and we invite, of course, the members of the press to join us for that important gathering. So I'll stop there and hand back to you, Stefan. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Doreen. I think we'll now go to your questions, and remember, you could ask questions of Amandeep or Ilse or our colleagues from ITU, the UN University, and UNESCO. So, Anade, please.
Hello, my name is Anade from Al Jazeera English. On behalf of the UN Correspondents Association, thank you all for doing this briefing. My question is for Amandeep, but anyone is welcome to contribute. At the Security Council's first AI meeting earlier this year, the Secretary General warned that global governance is particularly behind when it comes to the pace at which AI industry is moving. How is this board going to make sure that it can get ahead of the curve and not be reactionary, particularly when it comes to misinformation and disinformation?
Absolutely. So that was the SG's remark on the eve of the 18 July Security Council debate. The body will bring together expertise from around the world, from different disciplines, latest expertise on the direction of the technology and its impact on our societies, on our economies, and on our politics. So in that manner, we would be able to reduce this gap between the technology advancement, the frontier of technology, and the frontier of the governance response. Equally, the body will look at what is being done today in response to these emerging challenges and what is missing, what are the gaps, and how the existing efforts can be better networked, brought together, so that we have a more effective governance response. So this is a first step in that direction, and we hope to have more of this next year. There's an opportunity with the Global Digital Compact to embed this into more of a sustainable long-term perspective so that we are not caught napping by rapid-paced technology developments.
Thank you. Any of the other panelists want to add? Yes, please, Ilse.
Just to say that as part of that, we're very happy, of course, to welcome this board as well, to make sure that the governance also is based on human rights. We see already now for existing AI with all of the wonderful advances we have, but of course we have seen risks already as we have in the facial recognition area and surveillance area and so on, and of course the frontier AI all the more. So a proactive way of being able to make sure that governance includes and is based on human rights, I think is a wonderful opportunity to do that. It's really to have a governance that in a complex set of governance, so really looking globally, having all of these experts contributing, because we know we can't have just one response. If we would like to have global regulation, that's one thing, but clearly we also need monitoring and reporting. We need other parts of it, and human rights, of course, at the core, in addition to the ethical dimension that was mentioned, but human rights as the legal obligations, of course, including also for companies, as it were. Thank you.
Thank you. And I think Maria Grazia Squicciarini from UNESCO also wanted to add something. Maria Grazia, please.
very much. It's my pleasure to be here on behalf of our DG, Odea Zuley, and our ADG, Gabriela Ramos, that, as Amandeep said, unfortunately could not be here. Just to go back to the question on how to address the curve and the pace of the developments. So in the context of the recommendation on the ethics of artificial intelligence that our member states, 193, actually adopted in 2021, we have then since then worked on the implementation of the recommendation, coming up with 2 tools that actually address the before and after of the development of artificial intelligence. The readiness assessment methodology that actually aims at checking where countries are in terms of readiness of developing, deploying, and using artificial intelligence in an ethical manner. And absolutely, what was just said is absolutely the approach that is respecting human rights, human dignity, and fundamental freedoms. And then we have also been developing what is called the ethical impact assessment, because we cannot forget that a lot of developments are underway, but what we want to make sure is that the outcome is respecting human rights, human dignity, and fundamental freedoms. So the tools are already there, and of course, UNESCO is very happy and ready to contribute it to this work that lies ahead.
Thank you. Deji, China Central Television.
Hi, Shudoji with China Central Television. So my question is for Amandeep, and everybody could contribute to this question. My question is on the impact on jobs and society. How would you address the potential disruption of labor markets and social structures caused by AI, and what strategies would be developed to mitigate these impacts? And by the way, I asked ChatGPT, and this is one of the 12 questions ChatGPT generated for you guys.
Thank you. I'll attempt an answer, and then I'd also like my colleague, Dr. Marwala, to come in on this. I think it's important that we think about the impact on our economies and on the labor markets proactively. This is not going to be a replay of previous tech disruptions to the job markets. Often low-skilled jobs were the first ones to disappear with the advance. In this case, it could be high-skilled jobs, so people working in the knowledge sector. So we need to think about this differently, and this advisory body would certainly go into that. And we need to prepare our institutions, a point that the Secretary General has made very eloquently in his policy brief on the Global Digital Compact. There has been a lag in terms of investments in public sector institutions, public technology, in the social protection mechanisms, and we would need to think more robustly about them. At the other end, it's also a question about opportunities, because jobs will shift, there'll be displacement of jobs. So how can we make sure that there is enough to compensate for those losses? There are additional opportunities that come through, and those are not going to come through concentration of economic power, something that the SG mentioned clearly. They are going to come through the democratization of opportunities, the spread of benefits around connectivity, digital public infrastructure, data flows, data economy, and of course AI on top of that. But I do want Professor Marwala to come in, since he's reflected on this also previously in the context of South Africa's own strategy on.
Thank you. Professor Marwala from UN University. Please, sir, you have the floor.
No, thank you very much, Amandeep, and greetings to everyone from the Netherlands. Now, I think, firstly, when it comes to prediction of what is going to happen into the future, I think it is pretty much difficult to know the nature of work that is emerging. The pace of changes are actually too quick for us to actually have a firm grip of what needs to be done. But we need to do certain things so that we are ready for almost any scenario. I think the first one is investing in education. We need to look at our education system. I think our education system has become much more multidisciplinary. I think it needs to focus much more on innovation in all its elements, whether at the social level, whether at at the economic level and whether at the application of technology level. I think we need to ensure that access to education is not only just at the schools, but also lawmakers that need to craft rules and regulations that are going to protect people into the future. So political literacy in this area is quite paramount. The general public must also become literate in these technologies. And then, of course, access to technology is very, very important across the board, especially in the global south, but across the board. I think access to infrastructure, whether it is the infrastructure for data collection or the infrastructure for computing, so that not just people are ready for the future of work, but economies are also ready for the future of work. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I want to go back to Doreen at ITU. Doreen, please.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, just quickly, because I think Professor Shelidze and Amandeep said it well, but when it comes to the impact on jobs, clearly there are challenges, there are also opportunities. And as Professor Shelidze said, like the access to technology piece is a big one. And when we look at the global south and we look at the current digital divide, if you're not part of the digital revolution, you're not going to be part of the AI revolution. So that skill building piece is fundamental, the access piece first, but then the skill building that comes once you get the access. And we need to move here beyond basic digital literacy to more advanced skills to be able to include in a more equitable way the global south.
Thank you. Evelyn, please.
Thank you very much. Evelyn Leopold. You all seem to be working on a different aspect of AI, or hoping to, or discussing how to. Is there any, do all the people who are on this call, do you get together and exchange information? Are you going to do that? Because it looks, well, scattershot. Yeah. And this is for anybody.
Yeah.
Let me take that. Yes, we do get together fairly regularly at various levels. So the entities that you see represented on this call coordinate very closely on AI governance issues, meet at the principals level, meet at the working level. And as was mentioned earlier, within the context of the high-level committees of the UN, both on the program side and on the management side, we have discussions, most recently in Copenhagen earlier this month, on the cross-cutting impact of AI and the opportunities that AI offers to the UN system as a whole. And this is also one of the tasks of the Secretary General's Tech Envoy to ensure that there is coherence and coordination across the UN system on these issues.
Great. Thank you. Any more questions? Great. I just want to thank our panelists and all of you, and wish you a good rest of the day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.